YouTube family and friends. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I think most of you guys know I commute back and forth to work from where I live up to DC Metro. I usually take a commuter bus, and I catch up on videos and whatnot during my commute, but today is one of those rare days where I had to drive into work, so I'm going to be stuck in the DC traffic. So I figure, what better way to pass the time than to catch up on some tags and to do a couple of short videos in response to some video collaboration tags that I may or may not have been invited to be a part of. I guess I could say I'm rating the tag, but the first one I wanted to talk about was one that I saw the Green Dream Prpject respond to. They were tagged by Mommasaurus to explain what they wanted to be when they grew up, and I almost didn't do it because when Jim did his response, it was pretty similar to what I would have said. I grew up a big comic book geek. I love drawing. I love writing little comic stories and things like that. So kind of like Jim, I thought I grew up to be a comic book illustrator, comic book writer, and I did tons and tons of those. I bought and read, thousands of comics growing up. I mean, I love superheroes, sci-fi, things like that. But, the older I got, the more people said, you can't make money doing that. There are starving artists all over the world. And I grew up in a small rural town, and I knew, I didn't want to do some of the things that people grew up and did in my town. I didn't want to go work in a factory. I didn't want to, be a seasonal, laborer out in the fields. I just didn't see anything in my area that met with my interests, aptitudes, abilities, in my mind. So I wanted to be a comic book writer, illustrator when I was a kid, but 17, I started taking everybody else's advice and said, well, I got to figure a way to get out of there. And I didn't want to go to school right away. I wanted to work. I wanted to branch out, so I signed up for the military. And then my dreams went from wanting to be a comic book illustrator to being the youngest sergeant major in Army history. And I did pretty good. I made rank pretty quick. I was going along, and then I got hurt, and I went from wanting to be the youngest sergeant major in Army history when I grew up to having to find something else to do. And from there I went to school. I did some testing to see what areas, and then I found what I do now, which I enjoy doing. But if I could go back 40 years, 35 years, and tell myself to take a leap of faith, to follow your dreams of being what you want to do to grow up, I'd still say comic illustrator. I love my military career. I love everything that affords me now. I love the job that I have now. But none of them would equal my passion for, the geeky things, the comic book movies, comics, superhero anime, manga, all those things. So, like Jim, life took me on a different path, and I'm thankful for where I am now because all our life experiences bring us to where we are. And I wouldn't trade my wife, my kids, the life that I have now, because if I had followed my path, I probably wouldn't have the wife I have now or the kids that I have now. So I'm happy with who I grew up to be. Do I wish I was writing Amazing Spider-Man, Shazam, Captain America, Superman, Batman comics? Yeah, because it's just so fun to create things like that. But life is what life is. So that's my answer to the tag. I want to thank Mommasaurus for starting it and kind of spreading it out to everybody, and I want to thank Jim and Jessica for giving me the idea to kind of speak about what I've done. So if you haven't watched Mommasaurus's video, I'll leave a link to it down below in the description, along with Jim and Jessica's. And I know some other channels have responded to the tag, but if you haven't and you want to do it, jump on. So as always, God bless our great country. God bless you wherever you reside around the world, and God bless your garden, homestead, allotment, that you have bountiful harvest, your kitchen to have wonderful meals, and your family, like mine, to be blessed with health, happiness, and prosperity. Zapper out.